Okay, so you just had that barrage of big heavy riffs being utilised in the low B. Let's have a look at the verse sections. Now the verse section is predominantly made up from the A suspended second, following into D5 with a F in the bass, which we refer to as a D5 slash F, the slash chord basically. This particular section I like to call my Zepp head section because the chords are very reminiscent of Led Zeppelin's 10 Years Gone, which is from Physical Graffiti Doodly, and the actual backing has more of a Radiohead influence, probably around the time, let's say, the Bends came out. It's got that really sort of underlining indie backbeat, which is quite a nice contrast between obviously the Zeppelin chords. And the whole thing goes a little bit like this. In terms of descending fashion of the bass note going down from F, E to D. Now as it descends on top of that, I imply D5 with a suspended second. Though there is one change as we go through that. We start with the D5 with the F in the bass. Then taking out the first finger, I take the first finger and I raise that towards the second fret on the D string, and strumming that I end up getting E minor 7, and taking out the first finger I then go to my D5 suspended second, and here's the whole thing actually played in context. For a 4-bar duration with a single repeat, so it's 8 bars in total, and then we follow on with a scratch chord from there. The solo's got an awful lot of ideas going through a very short succession of time. So let's see if we can break it down in the most layman term as possible. Now, the entry point of this solo comes in syncopated. What I mean by that, it comes in on the offbeat. So what we need to do is, to get that triplet slide in, we need to come in on the and after the 4 of the previous bar. So rather than counting, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then coming in on the 1 of the next bar, we come in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then straight after the 4. So the entry point should sound a little bit like this. The movement that I'm actually going through intervallically through the A alien scale is through a dotted crotchet rhythm, and a dotted crotchet is set into, let's say, 1.5 pulses, and then tying into an 8th note from there, which gives it a really syncopated feel to this whole section of the song. And the notes that I'm actually moving through are all trilled. I mean by that, it's got a consistent picking pattern, and the picking pattern is in 16th note triplet, so you're actually covering 6 hits on each note going through per pulse, so it's very fast. Try not to think about the actual count too much. It's more an instinctive motion of actually keeping that consistent picking action going across each individual note. As long as you're actually moving the notes in that syncopated fashion, you'll be absolutely fine. Legato style lick, which goes across, let's say, a 16th note flutter between the 7th and the 8th fret, which goes something a little bit like this. And I'm pivoting between the 10th fret and the 8th fret using my pinky finger and my second finger. I do a little chromatic movement going between the 7, the 8 and the 9 across the G, then going to the 1st, the 2nd and the 4th finger going across the B. Once again, moving in 16th note triplet. Just taking that very symmetrical shape of using 1st finger, 3rd finger and 4th going across the B and the E string, pivoting on the 5th fret. I then start to infiltrate my tap across the 13th fret. Very, very Eddie Van Halen sounding line there, and Eddie being a big influence of mine, I wanted to put that into one of the songs on the album. And yeah, there's a kind of a little Eddie tribute pointer. Is that you're holding your pick obviously between, let's say, thumb and index finger. I then tend to curl it into the actual middle finger of my picking hand. So I'm going from there and I'm tucking it like that. We'll take a little bit of practice. What some guitar players do if they're not comfortable with that is they'll have a whole ream of picks and actually probably attached either to the base of their guitar or their mic stand, so they can just throw the pick away and then just pick it up and then go from there. Unfortunately, if you're slightly lower rent, then you've not always got the opportunity to do that. And I think it's good actually to practice this shape, because then you can intermix your picking ideas with your tapping ideas as well and still have control of your pick and not lose your pick. Now to note, the tap goes in an 8th note motion, so you're going to be counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and as you apply the pull-offs on here, you will then inadvertently start to do 30-second notes, so you'll actually be covering 8 notes per pulse. Step through, just going from the top E string, taking that motion, then steps to the 7th fret, going now shape of 1st, 2nd and 4th, where we had 1st, 3rd and 4th, we now go 1st, 2nd and 4th. The tapping finger shifts to the 15th fret. And then, for the final motion, you then go to 1st, 2nd and 4th, but the stretch this time is going to be a tone between each finger, so 2 frets between each finger, going across the 8th, the 10 and the 12. The tapping finger this time going across the 17th fret. Each motion moves a bar's worth, so you stick on it for a bar and then you shift shape and shift shape. So at the moment we're on our 3rd bar of this particular section, and then when you get to your 4th bar, the tapping finger this time does not move, it stays there on the 17th fret, so 4 bars should sound a little bit like this.